Welcome to the Sibling Rivalry MMA Podcast. Today we are joined by the creator of MMA Trufan, Nate Evans. Nate, how are you doing today?
Good, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for coming on. So how are things going for you? Everything being all crazy?
Things are good. Things are crazy. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, so trying to keep them occupied, keep them busy, and still working on the podcast, doing these biographies. So pretty busy with it.
Yep. So like Nick said, Nate's part of a podcast called MMA Trufan, formerly known as Fighter's Legacy.
Yeah.
So they have a pretty unique thing going on over there. It's awesome. Basically, you guys interview a whole bunch of fighters, and you pretty much make like mini documentaries all over a podcast, right? It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. What we do is we interview the fighters, so we interview coaches, training partners, whoever, and we talk about key moments in their career, big fights, their strategies, what they talked about between rounds, adjustments, and it's really a biography. So we talk about their childhood, them growing up, how they got into martial arts, and what they're doing these days. We do legends of the sport right now, and we might do some younger, more active fighters down the road, but right now we're focusing more on just like legendary retired people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is awesome because, I mean, their stories kind of tune in now, so you can cover the whole thing. And you've had some of my favorite fighters of all time on there, which I love. I haven't gotten through all of them, but from what I've heard so far, it's really well done. The interviews are great. You get so many cool people on there, and even, I mean, the editing, it's all really well put together.
Thank you very much. Yeah. My partner Rich Downey, who and I do it, and he's really outstanding when it comes to doing the editing pieces, and he does a lot of the interviews too. But the idea is we write the story, we tell the story, and then we put the clips in along the way. So at these key moments, it's them telling the story, which makes it just more impactful. Really, we can hear it from people with firsthand knowledge, and it's just more. It's just more exciting, just more effective than if just I'm sitting there telling it the whole time.
Right. Yeah, it's good to hear from people that have been there, and I mean, even most of the people you guys interview telling the story are people that are really well known too. Like for their Wanderlei Silva one, which I was listening to, interviewed Chris Levin and Rich Franklin and all these really popular guys. Did you do stories on them too, just while you were interviewing them?
We got some information from them. They're both really, really good guys, and they had great information. Like Chris Levin saying, I can't believe I signed up for this. Like, yeah. What the fuck was I thinking? Like, he's so candid. Like, he's just how Levin is in his like interviews. That's just how he is. Like when I interviewed him, and we talked a little bit about their careers, but those will probably be at like a later date when we get more into it, because I asked them to talk about Wanderlei. And I didn't want to just, dump a bunch of questions on them about themselves, because a lot of these interviews, many of them are just about 10, 15 minutes long. And I don't want to overreach, so to say, and try to, frustrate anybody.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. I think it's just really impressive how you guys were able to get all these people. I'm honestly really jealous. We've done a few interviews, but you guys were really able to pull a lot of people out of there. How, if you don't mind me asking, how were you able to do that?
Well, it does take a lot of time, a lot of persistence for sure. I kind of look at it as like an investigation. Like I watch like a lot of cop shows, like homicide investigation shows, whatever. But it really is kind of like that, where these detectives are they have like no starting point. Where do you find that first step? And that's really the hardest part. Is trying to find that first person who can get you to the next person. From there, it's just really building relationships, whether if it's finding a relative or a past training partner or someone who works at their gym. Because once you get to the actual person, it's pretty easy, because we're just doing like tribute work. We don't do any gotcha interviews or, try to stir controversy. So they know we're doing honest work for the right reasons. And something that has become very obvious is that all of these top guys are all really good people. And it might seem like, oh, you don't need to be because you're a fighter, but none of these guys get there on their own. Like, they all have people around them who help them along the way. They surround themselves with good people, and nobody wants to work with a jerk. Nobody wants to, spend, 8-10 hours a day with somebody who is, an asshole. So like all of these people are by nature really genuine, good people. So once you get to talk to them, or once you get a message to them, I mean, I've never been turned down for an interview. So when it comes to like somebody we're doing an episode on, we've had people say, I don't want to talk about that person, for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't like that person, maybe there's hard feelings. And sometimes you come across things like, some hidden bad blood that you didn't even know about, that, just things that aren't really out there, and say, no, I don't want to talk about that person. Okay, fair enough, but it's never been like, I don't want to talk to you. It's just, I don't want to talk about that. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so you guys obviously had to do a lot of hard work to get to see all these people. I thought that you must have some kind of a connection, like that you started off with, must grew up around a lot of fighters or something, but.
No, I don't. Like, it kind of started with Randleman. Kevin Randleman was the first one we did. And before that, we're looking at doing just like a talk show, just like a general discussion, normal podcast show. And we wanted to try to do a couple of these along the way. And Kevin Randleman was the first one that we wanted to do because my partner Rich and I, we went to some old UFC shows back in the day in Atlantic City in like 2000 and 2001 when we were in college. And we met Randleman and Couture and Tito and Chuck in the crowds. And when we met Randleman, just like the nicest guy in the world. And kind of like how I think Rico Rodriguez said, like after 15 minutes, like he made you feel like you're the most important person. And that's just really the kind of person he was. So we wanted to do him first. Also as like a, memorial tribute to him since he's passed away, unfortunately. And once we were doing that, we found that, people do want to talk about this stuff. People do want to talk about, the past days and share some of that information that isn't out there, because there's so much rich history that just has not been tapped into yet. And then once we got these people on the phone, like we're talking to Bas Rutten about Randleman, and he knows we're doing good, honest work. So say, hey, Bas, would you be able to talk about yourself? Like, yes. Same with Couture. Randy Couture was very happy to talk about Kevin, and because Kevin trained at Extreme Couture for quite a while, and he fought Randleman. I was actually at that fight when he fought Randleman.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that was the first one I went to. That was in like November of 2000, I think. But then I said, Randy, would you be able to talk about yourself? Yes. Same with Mark Coleman, that he'd be able to talk about yourself. So then we kind of got a few off of that. And then once you're talking to some of these people, it kind of starts to snowball from there. Like once other people hear that you're in that orb, then, they realize that I'm not just some person who's playing games. Like I'm actually, a serious person trying to do real work here.
Yeah. Well, it's paying off. It's all sounding real good.
But I mean, like really, like a lot of it just comes down to persistence, like, because it's hard in that I have to realize these people are doing me a favor. We're not paying these people. These aren't paid interviews. And it's all just, a favor to me. So I have to be flexible. And there are times when not necessarily these really big people, but usually when you're talking to these really big people, they set a time and they're there at that time because it's just, they're so used to that. But lots of like, past opponents or training partners or whoever, people that aren't quite as well known, I guess, some of them kind of give you a runaround, and which is kind of unfortunate. But I mean, there have been times when let's say we're supposed to talk at 5:00 and they don't answer, they don't call back, like no call, no show, nothing. But then, I go out to dinner with my family and we're at dinner at like, 7:00 and the phone rings and it's them. And it's like, oh, Jesus, so like, but I mean, I've gotten up and walked out to my car and done the interview in my car, with my family inside doing, having dinner. So it's like, that's kind of what happens sometimes. You have to be able to do that kind of stuff. Otherwise, you're just not going to get these guys.
Yeah. No, we've had some of that before too.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. So what are you going to do,
Right. Well, good on you for sticking with them and still doing.
Well, I mean, like last night, I did an interview with a guy at 1:30 in the morning, and we were supposed to do it at like 9. And then 9 turned into 11. 11 turned into 12. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here, And it's just like, hey, how about, in about an hour? How about like another hour? And the person was pretty famous, so I stuck it out, and 1:30 comes around, and there he is calling me, and it's like, and then I'm on the phone with him till about 2:00, and I was up at about 5:30 this morning with my 4-year-old, my 2-year-old, because they don't know how to sleep in, so that's kind of part of it too.
Yeah. At least right now, with not a whole lot going on, you've got a little more.
For sure. Like I'll get to bed early tonight, so I'm not worried about it.
So you've been putting these out in seasons. The first season, has it been out for about a year now, or maybe not so long?
Almost. Like the last one we did was Wanderlei. The first one was Randleman, and then we did 8 of them weekly. Did Randleman, Ken Shamrock, Couture, Nogueira, Big Nog, Bas, Dan Severn, Mark Coleman, Wanderlei Silva. Then that one came out. Wanderlei came out in late October.
Okay.
And then we've been writing the second season. But what we're going to do is we're going to release them every other month now, because we want to try to spread it out a little bit more and try to have it be more consistent. Because we've had people asking, when's the next one coming out, and we don't want to just be sporadic. We want to try to establish a timeline. So we're planning to release Georges St-Pierre at the end of May.
Awesome.
And then we'll see after that. We're going to do the next 7 for sure. Don't know the order yet. It's going to be Georges St-Pierre, Anderson Silva, Royce Gracie, Dan Henderson, Don Fry, Frank Shamrock, and Renzo Gracie.
Wow.
And those are
awesome.
Those are the next 7 for sure. Like we have them written. The interviews are all done. The interview I did last night was like one of the very last ones I'm going to do for these episodes. And so that'll be over the next 14 months, and that, to me, that feels like, it's such a long time, especially when I'm sitting on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to write more, like I'm going to do Machida after that. I talked to Lyoto a month or 2 ago. Lyoto Machida is a great guy too. Like,
I believe that.
He's very well, because in interviews he's, I guess like kind of like introverted, doesn't talk an awful lot, but you get him talking. He's a really nice guy, and he has a lot of good stories too. But then we're going to do that one. We have a couple other people that have said, yeah, probably, but they haven't like fully committed. So I don't want to, say that and have them, be like, oh, wait, you're signing me up for stuff. I don't want to misrepresent anything, because that's kind of the kiss of death here, is when I'm, saying that this is going to happen when it's not set in stone. But, I'm like Machida said, like, yeah, call me back, looking forward to it. So I'm not worried about that, about saying his name right now.
Yeah, sounds good. You named a lot of legends right there, a lot of really good fighters, well-known guys. I got to say, I think the one I'm looking forward to the most might be Don Fry.
Yeah, I love Don Fry.
Yeah.
Like I remember, he was one of the people who really drew me into it. Like I watched, the UFC 1, 2. I watched all the early ones. Just like, I was like, I'm 40 now, so I was like 13 then. So it's just kind of just a casual fan, just watching, people get their face beaten in,
Yeah.
But Don Fry was like one of those guys where it's like, this guy is awesome. Like he kind of, he's got the mustache, he's beating people up, drilling like Amari Batesh in the head with those knees, like, and then the fight with Ken Shamrock, I saw that when I was in college.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting on the couch because my old roommate got it at his parents' house, and we went upstate. I went to college in New York. We went upstate to his parents' house, and he said, my sister's baby is sleeping, and we got to be really quiet, otherwise, if the baby wakes up, it's going to be really bad. And my partner Rich was watching it with us, and this Rich, my old roommate Adam, my friend Mark, and I, and his sister and brother-in-law. But anyways, the part in that Don Fry fight where Fry knocks Ken down, they're up there just slugging it out, boom, 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 and then Fry knocks him down. Rich jumps out of his seat. Yeah, rah, rah, rah. The baby wakes up, starts screaming and crying. Adam's like, Jesus Christ, but that's my favorite Don Fry stories is like I was a huge fan then. That was almost 20 years ago. So that's one of the ones that we've been waiting for it to do is Don Fry. He's one of our favorites.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of his other interviews. He just seems like a real fun dude to talk to.
yeah, and he's had a hell of a life too. We talked to his old fireman buddies from Arizona that he was on the fireman crew with. They had a lot of great stories. Talked to past opponents. Talked to Mark Coleman. They obviously had a couple big fights, and but he's had a lot of really really bad injuries in his life, and he's in pretty rough physical shape now. He's doing okay, but he's kind of paying the toll for the fights he's done, and we want to pay tribute to him. We want to make the best episode we can for him.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that.
For sure.
Anything you wanted to ask about?
Nah, I don't really have any questions. Really, I haven't gotten the chance to listen to many of them. I checked it out like an hour before we got on, but after this interview, I'm definitely super interested in it. Just you guys being able to interview some of these legends and get inside stories on what people think about them and some of the stuff that other people don't know, I think is extremely interesting. And I'm definitely going to check it out, and hopefully all the listeners that got a chance to watch this podcast do as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's been cool to listen to, and it is. I mean, obviously we have our own podcast here, and we try to do some interviews too, and it's pretty inspiring to me also. So appreciate that on both fronts.
yeah, definitely. It is tough getting the interviews. One thing that we have kind of going for us is that we're doing tribute work. So we're just here to talk about your favorite fights. We're here to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And that kind of makes it easier for us. But still, it takes a lot of time and persistence. 90% of my time is getting the interviews. Once you get the interview, then I just chop it up, and listen to it obviously, and write it up and put it in there. But I work every single day trying to get these interviews. I'm trying right now to get interviews for the following episodes, and it's just a never-ending process. But it's fun. I like it. I've always been a fan of the sport. I've been a fan of the sport for 20 plus years, and I get to talk to my heroes. So what more can I ask for? And you get good stories from these people. Like George St. Pierre had some really good stories. He talked about Khabib, talked about the negotiations with that fight, and talked about a lot of stuff that is not out there yet. So when that stuff comes up, and we're releasing here in a few weeks. There's going to be some interesting stuff coming out with that.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that one too. Then.
Yeah, for sure. He's a super nice guy, and I talked to him when I was doing the episode on Renzo, and George trained at Renzo's at one point. He still does sometimes. And one of Renzo's students was a training partner of George's, and so I was like, hey, do you think George might be able to talk about Renzo? Shot in the dark, He said, yeah, I'll ask him, can't make any promises. And, I totally understand that. And later that night, I was putting my kid to bed, walking down the stairs, and I get a phone call from a Montreal number. And I'm like, shit, that might be George, So I answer the phone, and it's George St. Pierre, calling me to talk about Renzo. I could not believe it, I don't get starstruck very often, but I felt it a little bit whoa, and then, and that's kind of how we got George. I'm talking to him about Renzo and I say, hey, would you be available for yourself? And he said, yeah, and then I called him back, a little while later and talked to him about himself. He's such a super nice guy. Everyone we talk to is good to us. And I've never talked to someone who I think is a total jerk. Some people are nicer than others, just, personalities match differently, But, George is one of those guys that, no matter who it is, he's such a nice guy, super nice person, treats them with, the utmost respect. And, it's funny because I was talking to him, and I have a recorder on my phone. And everything we do is through phone interview. And I'm talking to him. We talked for about a half hour or so, and such good information. And before I was kind of recording it off my mic too, so I had a backup, but then it didn't work. The interview never came up. And I'm panicking. It was an all-time low for me. I just talked to George St. Pierre about all of this stuff that is headline news, some of this stuff, and I don't have it. And I'm I just didn't even know what to do. I was like I'm a grown man about ready to cry, And I texted him back. I said, George, I don't have the interview. I don't have it on my phone. I don't know what happened. I might have lost it. If any way we could talk for a few more minutes. And he said that he had to go out to dinner. He had an appointment. He had to do something. He had official business, not just sitting around doing people favors. He had real business to do. He called me right back. and like I was like, I could not believe he called me back because he's Georges St-Pierre, and but as soon as he called back, the audio came up, so I did have it, and he called me back, and I was like, George, I actually have it, but I really appreciate it. He's okay, good, well, thanks, thanks for doing this. That's Georges St-Pierre. That's like how good of a guy he is. He called me back when he didn't owe me anything. I'm not paying him anything. I'm writing this on him, paying tribute to him. But he called me back to do it again. So it kind of that's my best way to show how good of a person he is.
Those Canadians, good people.
Yeah, those Canadians, they are good people. They are,
Yeah.
It's all that cold weather,
Yeah, exactly. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to promote? I know you guys just did the name change and got the hat there.
I got the hat. Just got the hat. I just got it at the store. We got an essential business down the road that does screen printing. I don't know how a screen printing company is essential business, but like I'm not going to complain, So what am I going to do? But yeah, we got the hat. We're not selling them yet, but maybe at some point here, pretty soon we'll get a store going. But but no, we have these 7 episodes coming up. We're on Twitter at MMA Trufan. Sorry, I have a speech impediment. I apologize. But our handle is at MMATrufan.com. I mean at MMA Trufan. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm like,
you're fine.
But also our Facebook group. And we have a Facebook page, and we have a website, and we have the episodes coming out, and yeah, that's what we have going on.
Yep. So it's at MMA Trufan with no E. So TRU.
That's right. Yep. TRUFAN.
So at MMA Trufan, and you guys are on Apple and on YouTube.
Apple, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, all the major networks.
So all those previous episodes that he named are all on there. And did you say when the next one was coming out, or you're still not? 100%?
Probably end of May. That's
end of May.
What we're looking at. Yeah, it's not completely done yet, and I don't want to set a date and be held to it, but probably end of May. Probably maybe beginning of June, but hopefully next month is what we're planning for. And then probably every other month after that. So those other episodes, I'm not sure which one would be after that, but probably Anderson, but maybe Henderson, but we'll see.
Awesome. Well, cool. I look forward to that. So everybody go check those previous episodes out. They were awesome, like I said. And I still have a few to get through. So so I'm going to do that too. Thanks so much for coming on. Yeah, check them out.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Do you guys have any certain picks for UFC 249? Anybody you guys are looking at for that, for Tony and Gaethje?
So I've got Tony there. Who else is on the card? I haven't even, because I'm just so not even sure if it's really happening.
I know. Like I think Ngannou and Rosenstryk are on there too. And
yeah, we were supposed to go to the original fight. We were
too. We were gonna go. I live in Columbus, so yeah, we're gonna go to that too. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but glad they're gonna be able to fight. So
yeah. That's a tough one. I mean, I think everybody's really going with Ngannou, it seems like. I probably agree, but I don't know.
I think Ngannou wins that pretty easy, to be honest.
Well, Rosenstryk's last fight kind of made everybody second guess him. He had this big striking pedigree everybody was going crazy about, and then he didn't look that great against Overeem until the last second.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, we all saw Overeem's lip all split out. I mean, that's one of the worst injuries I've ever seen.
Nasty.
But yeah, I would think Ngannou's going to win that too. I mean, I just think he's too fast, too strong.
Yeah, I think so too, but I don't know. You never know. You're getting it pulled up here.
I cannot find the card on the internet. I can probably only find it on Twitter.
Is Rose still on there or no?
Rose backed out, I think, because she had a couple family members passed away from corona, or from COVID, so she is not going to be on it, I don't think.
Yeah, and I know Nunes pulled out as well.
Yeah. What about Tony and Gaethje? Do you guys have anyone you're looking at for that?
I've got Tony.
I don't know. I thought it was going to be a close fight before when they originally announced it, because Gaethje didn't have a camp and there's no way he's going to be able to go to 5 rounds with Tony. But now I don't know. I feel like Gaethje's the worst possible matchup for Tony, because on the feet he's going to hit Tony, and usually when Gaethje hits people they go down. And if Tony needs to get to the ground, I don't think he's going to take Gaethje down. So I think it's a lot closer of a fight than people are going to give it credit for. But I don't know. I'll probably still give it to Tony just because there's no reason not to. He hasn't lost.
Yeah,
so
that's
like. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll say like I love that breakdown. That's very close to my thinking too. You know, like I love Gaethje. I mean, to me, he is like one of my favorite guys. I mean, he is like a Wanderlei Silva type guy, just leaving years of your life in the ring, leave it all on the line. You know, I think Tony's just too quick and too technical for him. But you know, it's hard to say. You know, I just don't know if he can put Gaethje away. And you know, it's just hard to say. But if I had to pick out, I'd pick Tony too.
Yeah, I'll go Tony. Doctor stoppage via cut. I'm just pulling that out of my.
That's what I have against Khabib. Like I think he beats Khabib. Doctor stoppage via cut.
Yeah. Well, that's all I really want to see is them fight each other. I mean,
me too.
But it looks like UFC has been like tweeting about some of these fights within the last few minutes.
Cejudo and Cruz are going to fight.
Cejudo and Cruz are on.
Who's that one? Cejudo and Cruz are going to be on that card.
Co-main event.
Main event.
Just tweeted it.
I don't know about that fight. Like, what do you guys think of that one? I mean, it's hard to not go with Cejudo, but I mean, I don't know. I just don't think Cejudo's the best in that division. I just don't. You know.
I don't think Cruz is either, though.
I don't think Cruz is. I think either Jan or Sterling are. I think it's one of those two guys, but who knows?
I think it's Jan. I do
too.
I think Cejudo would beat Sterling, and I think he'll beat Cruz fairly easy. But I think Jan would probably beat all of them.
I do too. That's exactly what I think. You know, I'm not sure if I think Cejudo would beat Sterling. That's close, but I think Jan is the best in that division too.
I still say Cejudo, but I'm biased. Cejudo, we wrestled growing up, and he was like one of my favorite wrestlers growing up back before he was even fighting. So him doing all this is really cool to me.
Yeah,
I just don't get. They refuse to give a title fight to anybody coming off of a win in this division.
I don't know why it is. Well, like part of me thinks they're trying to pad it up for Cejudo, trying to prop him up. You know, like why are they putting Aldo in there? Why are they putting Cruz in there? Why are they putting these guys in there? You know, they were really hoping that Faber beat Jan because they really want Faber to fight him. I'm sure. Like they wanted Cejudo to beat Faber. Like they really wanted that. I think. So, but Jan kind of spoiled that party for him.
But I mean, putting all that aside, it is a really interesting matchup. It'll be interesting to see how Cejudo deals with Cruz's stand-up and just his kind of weird movements that he's really not used to.
He hasn't fought in so long, though.
Yeah,
I know.
3 years.
2016.
2.5 years. I think
Yeah, it is. What was his last fight?
December.
Was Cody's last fight?
December of 2017.
You know that leaves a bad taste in Cruz's mouth, getting beat by Cody like that after, the talk and all that. I mean, I'm sure he wants to fight just as badly, but, it's going to be hard for him to beat Cejudo. I just don't see how he does it, Beats him at stand-up, I guess. He can't beat him on the ground, I don't think.
No, not a chance. I mean, Cruz was a wrestler, but he wasn't an Olympic champion.
No, yeah, exactly. It's different levels.
Yes.
And then they've got
Cejudo should be able to take him down pretty easy.
I would think. I mean, I loved it when Cejudo beat Cejudo beat TJ. Like, I just loved it. Like, I loved every second of it because I'm not the biggest fan of TJ, but gosh, this the cringiness of Cejudo just. Like I know he's not doing anything to really make anybody mad, but it's like, God, like, just give it up, man. Like, but what are you gonna do? That's just how it goes. But I don't want to say bad things, I mean, like I want to, I want to interview Cejudo someday. So, I love Cejudo and TJ, but no.
Yeah. No, I don't know. He just wants to make people feel uncomfortable.
He does out there.
Well, like the thing is, like, like I like that shtick more than Colby's because Colby's just being a freaking asshole, know. And like I have all the respect in the world for Colby. He's a great fighter, but like you don't got to do that, But at least Cejudo's not doing that. Like Cejudo is, acting like doing the things he's doing, which is just ridiculous. But he's not going out of his way to offend people, like Chael or Colby,
Yeah, but I mean, the flyweight division before him, nobody cared. Like, Mighty Mouse didn't have any personality. And, like, if he talks trash to these flyweights that nobody knows, it's probably not going to do anything. So he's just getting his name out there, and now he's having big fights that people actually really care about.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, he's the reason why people care about it. So, I mean, like, I love keeping the division open, but, I mean, I don't know because, I mean, this was at bantamweight, I'm pretty sure, right? The Cruz fight's at bantamweight.
Yeah,
they're not
it
fighting
is.
flyweight. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if does Cejudo even go back down to do flyweight again? Are they even gonna? I don't think it's gonna happen, right? I mean,
he looks
I
big
think,
right now.
Yeah, like I think flyweight's probably a wrap in the UFC, but I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't think they really have anybody to do it, but
I think they're gonna do Figueiredo and Benavidez again because I think they want Benavidez to be the champ.
I know, but you're gonna do that fight again, like. That was such a disaster for them because, you got the guy missing weight, then he wins. Like, that's worst case scenario for them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they definitely wanted Benavidez to win that too because he's the only flyweight that anybody knows at this point. Cejudo's not
the only
there.
one that anybody cares about. Right.
Yeah. And then they got Cowboy and Pettis on here, and they've got.
I like that fight. I mean, they're both basically journeymen at this point, but I like that fight. I mean, they both want that win. They both want that notch. I mean, it's a good win for both of them. So,
they're both just so inconsistent.
Fight. Yeah, I love both of them. Like, I wish they were just more consistent. Like Pettis, I know Pettis was a champion, but you remember when he knocked out Henderson? When he knocked out Benson Henderson, the jump off the cage, it was so humongous. Like, he just kind of thought this guy is going to take over the world. And then it just didn't quite happen, I thought he was great in the Tony fight. Like, I thought he was doing really well in that fight, awesome fight. Like, I wish they would have ran that one back, even though, I memean, Tony probably would have beaten him again. But that fight ended with a broken hand. Like, he didn't finish Pettis, Like, Pettis is a tough matchup for Tony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just so inconsistent, always getting hurt. And then Cowboy's so inconsistent. So who knows what's going to happen in this fight?
Yeah.
It'll probably be a good fight, though.
Yeah, I mean, like a Cowboy gets the the dings for not showing up in big fights. That's what they say about him, But I mean, like, I love Cowboy Cerrone. I mean, like, how can't you love him? Like him? He kind of reminds me of like a Diego Sanchez. Just like, how do you not love the guy? I mean, he does like everything right as a fighter. He doesn't get in trouble. He leaves it all on the line. He takes the big fights. He gets beaten up. He comes back. He doesn't give up. He's not a quitter. Like that's my kind of fighter. The way he fights. And
he's
like
one of my favorite guys in the sport for sure.
Yeah, and like a Stephen A. Smith calling him a quitter because he got beaten up by Conor. Like, get out of here with that. I mean, you have no right to say those kinds of things about Cerrone when you're Stephen A. Smith. Like, get out of here. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, that was crazy.
Last time they fought, I'm pretty sure Pettis finished it with a body kick. Long time ago.
I think so too. I think you're right about that.
That was back. Cowboy was getting like hit a lot to the body. Like that was. I remember around that time, everybody was like,
"Yeah, RDA finished him with a body shot, and Pettis finished him with a body shot."
He drinks too much Budweiser.
He likes that Budweiser. He does. Yeah.
And then Couture and Stevens. That's the other one I think is going to be.
Couture and Stevens. That's your sleeper fight right there. That's going to be a good one. That fight. Yeah, for sure.
Luke and Nico Price is on it too, though, aren't they?
That's good too. That's a stacked card. That is the card of the year right there. And like like I know that they're kind of like turning into like a greatest hits album from the last few months, but that's a stacked card right there. I mean, you got like Nico Price and Luque, and people aren't even talking about that fight. That's gonna be a good fight too. And they both really want that fight, especially Price after getting beaten up. Who beat him up? Was it Neal? Was it Jeffrey Neal?
Jeff Neal.
Yeah, and Jeffrey Neal's tough too. Like, watch out for that guy.
That guy's a beast.
Nobody wants to fight that guy right now. Nobody.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Oh, man, I mean, like he beat his face in. He beat Price's face in that fight. Made him look like he didn't belong in there with him.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can see these fights. That's all I hope. I hope they happen. I need to watch some fights, and we need something to talk about over here. So.
Yeah. You'll definitely have plenty to talk about after that. I mean, you have like at least 5 or 6 really good fights there. I'm curious as to what fights get kicked down to the prelims. I mean, what are you gonna do? You gonna put Cowboy and Pettis in the prelims?
I think they are.
I think
that's Price and Luque.
So I think what they're doing. This is what they were doing originally. I think they're going to have Ngannou and Rosenstrike headline the ESPN prelims.
I mean, come on.
Oh, now they're having Cowboy and Pettis.
Pettis and Cowboy are headlining the prelims, yeah.
Come on, you're going to put those guys in the... I mean, hey, sounds good to me, whatever. I mean, I'm going to watch it either way. But seriously, like, those guys, that fight doesn't make the pay-per-view card. I mean, that fight would probably headline like a fight night. I mean, the Nagano Rosenstrike card was going to headline that fight night that we were going to, that we're all going to go to.
Well, they got to make a good main event for ESPN for the prelims.
Oh, that's true.
With everyone watching right now, if they see Cowboy and Pettis, like those are two names that people that don't even care about MMA like. So that, I mean, that's going to do huge numbers.
I think this could be like the top 5 pay-per-views just because there's nothing else going on. Like, people need to watch something.
Right, and like I think that as part of Dana's plan is to try to capitalize on just the emptiness of the sports scene right now. There's nothing, literally nothing. I mean, like there was the draft last night. I mean, the football draft. But other than that, there's nothing going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
May 9th. It's not that far. It's 2 weeks.
It's not 2 weeks.
We can make it. We can make it.
yeah, about 2.5 weeks. Yeah, gonna make it. Still going through some withdrawals right now, but we'll make it. Gonna get our fix.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, everybody be sure to check out MMA Trufan on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. Same with our podcast. Same things.
Yeah,
we're on the same things.
All the good platforms. Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on. Gave us some really good and interesting news and updates, and I'm really excited to see these interviews.
Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on. Hopefully I can come on again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, you stopped it. Oh, shit.
Maybe. The
No, I
computer
don't think you
sucks.
did. You still there, though?
I stopped it.
I'm here, yeah.
All right, cool.
I didn't stop it. Hold on.